Today's episode of Cooking for Kyle, we're going to try to make short rib noodle stir fry with some short rib that Whitaker beef was able to get for me. So I have never had short ribs before. I'm sure I've had them at a buffet or something. I've never made them. I don't really know anything about them. So I did a couple quick Google searches and got the basic gist of things, and now I'm going to attempt to make some, and they might be good or they might not. So keep in mind that I have no idea what I'm doing, just kind of jumping in. Let's see how it turns out. This is how this is how we learn, Kyle. This is how we learn. So I guess that's what a short rib looks like. Looks like it has some thin rib bones there. They're wide but not very thick. Looks like got a bone here and here, so I'm gonna try to, I guess, cut it so that we got one piece of meat per bone. And there's those. I'll set those aside and we'll open the other one up. Got 2 packages. Yep, same here. This is a thicker piece, but it's still 2 ribs wide. So difference in thickness shouldn't really matter in the sous vide. Cook them all the same. All right, so we got 4 short ribs and 4 members of the family, so I guess we each get one. We're gonna get our pan ready to sear. Got our short ribs over on the side. Got our iron skillet on high heat here. You want to get it really hot before you put the oil in. Hot pan, cold oil. Do a little bit of a test here. Flick some water on, and it's not going psh, so it's not ready yet. I would normally spit in the pan, but you know, you can't put that on the internet. And let's try another water test. You can see that I used more water than I should have, but you can see that it's good and hot. So now we're going to get the oil. I'm going to just use olive oil. Just going to use some olive oil. Don't need a ton because it's a pretty fatty cut. So we're going to put the meat in, find the fatty side and stick that down. They're both. So we're doing the pre-sear for a couple of reasons. One is if we already got a good sear on it, then at the end, whenever we're searing it again, it won't. It's less light. We won't need to do it as long. And also, as we sear it now, we can get this with that nice seared meat flavor starting to pull out of there, and we can permeate the rib while it is soaking in the sous vide. So we'll go ahead and start checking them. You can see that we starting to get a bit of a brown on there. We'll flip that one over. Could have gone just a little bit longer. We're going to go ahead and just keep rotating it every side that we can get to stand in there. So we'll go ahead and try and do that. My tongs are slightly with me. That's a tong. There we go. If I'm doing something wrong, you can let me know. Alright, so I think they got a good sear on, so I'm going to go ahead and take them out and them into a, I think I might give the fatty side a little bit more time, these thick ones. Alright, I'll go ahead and call that good. Take those out, put them in a bowl for now. And now I'm going to turn this down a little bit. And I'm going to leave that good and hot. I'm going to add a ½ cup of red wine. And we're going to reduce this. I should start to reduce it. Goodness gracious. So, steam got to be too much. I had to pull the camera off, so I accidentally turned it off. It should be good to go again. You see our wine's mixing with our grease and simmering down a bit. I'm going to put in some onion. I skipped this part, I didn't show this part, but what I've done with this onion, Kyle, is I used a knife and cut it until it was smaller than it was before. And so that's what you want to do with that. And we're going to stir that around. Mixed up into the, yeah, it's getting, we're wanting to get rid of this liquid. We don't really want any. We're going to put this in with the sous vide bag, and we don't want really any, we don't want a lot of liquid. We want that flavor. So we're going to kind of reduce that and put in some minced fresh garlic. This is only 2 cloves, but it made a lot of garlic because they were really, you can't really tell now because I've done that thing where I used the knife to make them smaller than they were before. But these were huge cloves, kind of more of a standard size clove. You might have used maybe 3 or 4, but this is just 2 really big ones. You saute onions in red wine, they look like red onions. I think that'd make a good t-shirt. While I wait for my sous vide cooler to fill up, I'm gonna fill a couple of my plastic bags. I'm going to put one of the thick ones in a bag and one of the thinner ones in the same bag. Mix them up a little bit.
Vegetables in there as well, and we'll do the same. There's one, and there's another.
Okay, so I feel a little bit ridiculous because I'm actually using this huge, like 4-gallon cooler for these 2 little quart bags. Not because I need the space. I have a smaller cooler I could do it on, but that cooler doesn't have a closable lid while the sous vide's in it, so I would have to, since this is a 72-hour drop, I would have to be adding water to it several times. I'm just gonna use this one so that I can just fill it with water once. And here comes the first drop. Get the
Get the water out of the bag. Use the water displacement method. There's some air still in there. Take it out. Get out of there. Not great, but good enough probably. And here's the other one. Again, not great, but deal.
Alright, so we got them sitting in there, and got the immersion cooker in there. Plug it in. I'm gonna set this at 130. I think it may be already about that hot. Maybe hotter, nope. Okay, oops, sorry, too hot. All right, so we're, it's Wednesday, and we'll see you Saturday.
Voila!
cooking for Kyle. Today I'm cooking for Kyle my hair.
So now the short ribs have had some time to cool. So I'm going to, first of all, try to save any of the liquid in the bag for use later in a sauce. Do that with both bags. Set that aside. Now go ahead and take this out, and it's very, very tender, I think. So I'm gonna get a knife. I'm gonna try to separate this from the bone. So we'll have just a pure meaty substance. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing. Nice medium rare, but still pretty tender. Feels tender. I don't know. I haven't eaten it yet. Try to do that. And my bone's pretty clean. And also do this slow speed, so you can see it with the other one that's thicker. And so the bone is here, the rest of the fat and meat is, again, I don't know anything about this cut, never used it before, so we'll see what happens when I try to cut that off. Okay. Alright, so there's a layer of fat in there. And we cooked it at a low temperature so that it wasn't going to get rendered. And so we can maybe render it with our sear at the end. Or trim it off. Yeah, it's just fat right there, so set that aside for now. And so this is our kind of meaty, fatty conglomeration with the bones out there. Okay, I did that all in fast motion because I didn't think that you wanted to sit and watch me do that all day. But the what I did was I basically trimmed most of the excess fat and bone. You can see that there's a heck of a lot of fat and bone on a short rib. And so there's still some fattiness in here, so when we render it, we should get a nice little greasy taste to it if we want it. And we'll take that and go. We're gonna prepare a couple of shallots now. Shallots are basically like little onions, and they're nice. Got a nice. They pack a nice flavor, and you're gonna kind of just like an onion, peel it off, and then we'll dice it up. Make it, remember, Kyle, we're always going for smaller. After you cut it, it should be smaller, not bigger than when you start.
So, go ahead and really these kind of big.
So now we're going to start making a sauce, and in order to make the sauce, I'm gonna throw in some of this fat that I just carved off of there. Render that off to get us some nice beef flavoring. Maybe even throw in one of the bones and see what we get. Just kind of cook this stuff at high heat for a few minutes. fatty, bony stuff has been on here for a while, and we've rendered quite a bit of grease out of it, so pretty much done with these. Turn the heat down to low and take these out. And now we've got a nice base to do some sauteing. Settled on a noodle stir fry with this, and so I'm gonna make some rice noodles. With rice noodles, you don't boil them like Italian pasta. You get your water hot and then you turn it off whenever you dump these in. And you wait about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna get those ready before I get my stir fry too far. For those noodles, for that water to boil, I'm going to start working on the sauce that I'm going to mix in at the very end. It's going to start with our stock that came out of our sous vide bag. I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of a dry red wine. The 3/4 amount is very important because that's how much I have left in the bottle. I want more later, but I'm going to start with a 1/4 cup of soy, dash of powdered ginger. So now our water is boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat, and I'm going to take our package of noodles, open them up. This has a bag inside the box. Open the bag, and we are going to dump those in, stir them around a bit. And set a timer for 10 minutes. And then we'll go back to our hot drippings and turn the heat back on. And we're gonna start with the shallots. Let those tenderize. I got a little bit of a sweet pepper and some garlic I'll put in a little bit later. Those don't take our sauce. I'm gonna put some black pepper and going to sweeten it a little bit with a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. We'll stir that up. Shallots have been cooking for a little bit. I'm going to add the yellow peppers. Give that a minute. Do the garlic last. You don't want to burn the garlic. Now I'm going to get a separate pan and I'm going to get it hot, and I'm going to use this in a minute. Once it gets hot, I'm going to pour my sauce in here to try to get a bit of a reduction going. Time for the garlic. Right, now we're going to pour this into the nice hot pan going. Start to leave that on high, try to simmer that down a bit so we can get more of a gravy-like consistency as opposed to this liquid. So now I'm going to take my beef, my short rib that I've peeled and gotten off of the bone, and in fact I'm going to cut it up into small stir-fry pieces. Pot of noodles. We got 10 seconds left, but it said 8 to 10 minutes, and that was 10. So I'm gonna strain it. Get all the liquid out. We're gonna take the noodles and we're gonna turn the heat back up on our saute and pour the noodles in, and then toss the noodles in there. And we're going to put our meat in a minute. That meat's one of the last things you want to put in. We don't want to overcook it. Back down to our reduction sauce, and we can see that it's kind of thickening up. Probably good to go now. enough when we start scalding it. Stir up the noodles, make sure they stay nice and so they all get a chance to bathe in the seasoning. And then we're gonna dump the short rib in. And finally the reduction. Can't leave that on too long, the noodles start to stick. That's why we wanted a lot of that grease at the bottom. Keep that from happening too much. And I'd say that we are pretty close to being done. I'll just sit here for a second, let that meat warm back up. It was at room temperature. Now, for the plating, what we want to do is we want to take the noodle stir fry, and we want to use a spoon, a forked spoon here is what I'm going to use. I'm going to put it on the plate, see? You could use a bowl, I suppose, but I'm going to use a plate because I have something else I want to put on here, the roasted asparagus. And there we go.